So Madame Irma, who is running this Maison d'Illusion, right, has cameras everywhere. She's able to look in. She makes sure that things are very faithful, right? She gets the right costume. She has people make the right things. She sets the rooms up so that they really give the illusion of where these people want to be, right? And if you've seen the film version, right? I mean, certainly there are some things that make it look kind of, maybe a little funny at times, but at the same time, we understand that these individuals, right? These men who come in are two things. They're unhappy with who they are in real life. They don't like what they do in real life, or maybe even if they do like it, they want to be someone else sometimes. And they are really willing to risk going out and being in the streets during this revolution, risking being shot, risking, their lives going to this place, right? And we see these people from all walks of life, right? Roger, as the, chief of police, right, is working in the same place, comes to the same location, right? Because, right, he is maybe Madame Irma's boyfriend, maybe they're lovers. We have a lot of questions about what he is and what he means to her, right? But it's clear that for Madame Irma, right, her goal has been to create a place where men, and exclusively men, really, in this particular case, right, where men come to have their fantasies fulfilled. But they are not always or not exclusively sexual fantasies, right? This is an important part of the Maison d'Illusion, right? This is a very important part of the balcony, is that this is a place where people can pretend to be who they are not and, in a way, leave feeling more fulfilled, right? Because they've gotten to do something they don't normally do, right? That this idea of a little bit of fantasy, almost to a certain degree, right? If you've seen the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right, the one with Gene Wilder, he says a little nonsense now and then is cherished by the wisest men, right? That's one of his little sing-song things that he tells people. And I think it's very true, right? Madame Irma knows that people need a way to let off steam. But she also finds herself in the unique position of seeing these men get further and further and deeper into these fantasies, right? To the point where they are willing to pay more and more money to get better and better versions of their illusion, right? They want this illusion to become more and more realistic, right? They want to really feel like they are these people. And that is, I think, what makes the second half of the balcony so interesting. Madame Irma has been running this brothel since before the revolution. We assume she's going to be running it after, and in fact, by the end of the play, we do know that she's going to be running it, both immediately after the revolution, and then after, right, when the revolution starts again. It doesn't matter to her what's going on outside, because people will always want fantasies. This is one thing that revolutions will not take away. People will get what they want in a revolution, but they still want something else, right? They want something other than their reality, whether that's a good reality, a bad reality, otherwise, right? They want something different. And so we are presented with, a house of illusions that really is an analogy of maybe what Genet would consider to be, our lives, right? Our realities. We are all sort of trapped in a real life when we want this fantasy. We want this difference, right? And this new thing, right? As we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? Genet himself is accused, very young, as he's accused of being a thief, right? And he says, fine, if I'm accused of being a thief, if I'm not one yet, I may as well become one, right? Because it is what people expect of me, and it is something that I can make that happen, right? I can live in that reality, right? And he ends up doing that, right? Being in and out of prison for, much of his young life. And so when we see these people coming in. Some of them are revolutionaries. Some of them are, just individuals who are working. We get more and more of an idea of what people want, right? We meet Chantal, and we meet Carmen. Um, uh, do we meet Chantal? Now I'm trying to remember if in the film we actually meet Chantal. I don't know if we meet Chantal in the film, right? But there is, right, a revolutionary figure um, who needs this person, Chantal, right, to sort of be the face of the revolution, right? To be the emblem of the revolution, to sing and to be sort of, for lack of a better term, the symbolic reason why these people want to fight, right? These people need a reason to fight. And what Chantal represents for them is, of course, right, this ideal of beauty and truth and everything, right? Now, is she a real figure? Is she a real beauty and truth person, right? Again, right, your opinion on this may vary. In the play, right, in the written play, we see that Chantal, right, does show up, does stand to be a part of the revolution, is then shot and killed, and right, and leaves, but manages, right, to inspire and egg on the revolutionaries, right, and give them something to fight for. So, what do we know about this revolution, and what do we know about the stakes in this revolution as described by, right, the palace? Well, we'll talk about that in just a second.